The rain had been falling for hours, a cold, relentless curtain that turned the streets into rivers and the alleys into graves of forgotten dreams. A thin woman stumbled through it, her hair soaked, her clothes clinging to her trembling frame. Her name was Alyssa Grant, once a proud nurse, now just another face lost to the storm of life. The city had turned its back on her, and tonight, she had nowhere left to go. She pressed a trembling hand against her chest, feeling the ache of hunger and the heaviness of defeat. Her shoes, ripped and muddy, squelched with every desperate step. Then, through the haze of rain, she saw it, a dim light glowing through the cracked window of an old biker garage at the edge of town. The sign above the door barely hung by a rusted chain, Iron Roar Customs. If you believe that kindness and second chances can change a life, take a moment right now to like, comment, share, and subscribe to Midnight Reports, because what happens next will restore your faith in humanity. Alyssa hesitated at the entrance, her breath fogging in the cold air. The building looked abandoned, its walls scarred with graffiti, the big steel doors half open. She pushed one aside and stepped in, expecting only emptiness. Instead, the faint hum of a space heater reached her ears, mingling with the smell of oil and metal. The dim light revealed an ocean of tools scattered across the workbenches, half-built motorcycle frames gleaming under a single hanging bulb. In the far corner, an old coffee pot steamed beside a small couch. She didn't dare believe someone actually lived there. But she was too weak to care. Alyssa dropped her small backpack to the floor and sank onto the couch, wrapping herself in a torn blanket she found nearby. Her body trembled, exhaustion pulling her under. She whispered a quiet prayer for warmth and for one night without fear. When she woke, sunlight was spilling through the cracked windows, lighting the air with gold dust. Her heart raced, she wasn't alone anymore. A deep, gravelly voice came from the other side of the room. "You got a lot of nerve breaking into my shop, lady." Alyssa froze. A tall man stood near the workbench, his arms crossed, tattoos curling up his forearms. He looked like a mountain of leather and scars. His gray beard framed a face that had seen too many storms. His name, she later learned, was Rex Dalton, a retired Hells Angels mechanic who had lived half his life on the road and the other half trying to forget it. Alyssa stammered an apology, her voice trembling as she explained she had nowhere else to go, that she'd been sleeping under bridges, trying to find work after losing everything when her mother fell sick and passed away. Rex listened silently, his expression unreadable. For a long time, the only sound was the distant creak of the roof and the occasional drip of rainwater through the holes. Then, without a word, he turned, poured a cup of coffee, and handed it to her. "Drink this. You look like hell." She blinked at the mug, her hands shaking. The warmth spread through her palms, and for the first time in months, tears began to fall, not of fear, but of relief. Rex walked away, muttering something about soft-hearted fools under his breath, but there was a flicker of kindness in his eyes that betrayed the roughness in his tone. Over the next few days, he didn't throw her out. He didn't say much either, but he started leaving small things, food, blankets, a clean towel, on the workbench as if they'd just been forgotten there. Alyssa would quietly thank him each time, even if he pretended not to hear. The garage slowly became her refuge. During the days, she swept the floors, organized tools, and even started helping with small repairs. She had steady hands and a careful eye skill she'd learned in the hospital that somehow fit perfectly in the rhythm of the workshop. Rex, though gruff and blunt, began to soften. He found himself teaching her about carburetors, brake systems, and the sacred bond between man and machine. "You treat a bike like a person," he once said, tightening a bolt. "You listen to what it's trying to tell you. If you respect it, it'll never let you down." Alyssa smiled at that, seeing in his words a reflection of her own broken spirit. She had lost faith in people, in herself, but maybe, just maybe, this old garage and this strange man were giving her a reason to believe again. Days turned into weeks. The neighborhood bikers, once suspicious of her presence, began to accept her too. They called her Angel, a nickname she earned after saving one of them from a nasty cut using an old first aid kit. Even Rex grunted approval, which was as close as he came to a compliment, but not everything stayed peaceful. One afternoon, while Alyssa was tidying up, two men stormed into the garage. Their loud voices and leather jackets made the air tense. "Rex," one shouted, "you owe us. Don't think hiding behind some charity case will save your skin." Alyssa froze, clutching a rag to her chest. Rex's jaw tightened. The men were from his past, part of a rival biker group he'd left years ago after a violent feud. They wanted payment for an old debt, one he had no means to repay. Before Rex could speak, one of them shoved Alyssa aside, snarling that the garage would burn if he didn't pay up. The fear in her heart was cold and sharp, but beneath it was something stronger, a spark she hadn't felt in years. Alyssa stepped forward, her voice steady. "You don't scare me," she said. "This place saved my life. You won't touch it." The men laughed, but Rex's glare silenced them. "You heard her," he growled. "Now get out." The confrontation ended with slammed doors and threats, but it marked a turning point. For the first time, Rex realized that Alyssa wasn't just another lost soul. She was family, the kind that fate sends when you least expect it. That night, they sat together by the heater, the storm outside echoing the one they had just survived. Rex opened up for the first time, telling her about his past, the years of violence, the friends he buried, the choices that drove him into solitude. "I built this garage to disappear," he said quietly. "Didn't think I'd ever have someone walk in and give it a reason to breathe again." Alyssa smiled faintly, her eyes glistening. "And I walked in here to die," she replied. "Didn't think I'd ever find a place that felt like home." From that moment, everything changed. The garage became more than just a repair shop, it became a safe haven. Alyssa and Rex started fixing up old bikes to donate to struggling veterans and local kids. The community, once wary, began to rally around them. The story of the homeless woman and the old biker spread through town, touching hearts and inspiring others to help those in need. Local news outlets even came by to film their workshop, sharing how compassion had rebuilt two broken lives. One summer afternoon, the garage hosted its first charity ride. Dozens of bikers roared through the streets, raising funds for shelters and food programs. Alyssa, now healthy and smiling, waved from the doorway wearing a leather jacket Rex had custom-made for her, stitched with the words "Iron Angels." As the engines faded into the distance, she turned to Rex. "You think we really made a difference?" she asked softly. He looked at her, eyes gleaming with pride. "You already did, kid. You saved me."